Hello, welcome to the Guardian Way. This is a podcast series that we have put together for businesses to help them better understand the types of business crimes that they're likely to encounter, and most importantly, ways that they can protect and prevent them. With this series being put together, we needed an expert. So, our co host for this entire series is Garrett Thomas. He's the founder and the president of Guardian Protection Force. Welcome, Garrett. Give us a little bit of background about yourself when you formed the company, and then we'll kind of get into the details of what this podcast is going to look like throughout the series.
I founded Guardian Protection Force back in 2010, and it was centered around executive protection and armed security. Since then, we've developed in many different aspects of security, such as uniformed and unarmed security, security consulting, private investigations, and many different aspects. We meet on a daily basis with clients and get to understand their risk and the crimes committed against their properties, against their organizations, and devise solutions for them. So we're very familiar with crime and well versed in it.
Garrett, we know that business crime is on the rise. Maybe for our audience, just to kind of lay the groundwork for this whole series, is from your perspective, give us the top reasons why we're seeing an increase in business crime.
The pandemic, COVID is a big one. Since 2020, we had a bunch of closures. A lot of people went out of business. A lot of people weren't working, and because of that, there was a big rise in crime. A lot of people remember just on the news, people were ransacking stores, pharmacies, clothing stores, grocery stores, and just stealing anything they can. So organized retail crime is on a rise, and that's where people go in, steal items, and then resell them.
So we also understand that, some of the criminal law has changed across the
Mhm.
country. Give us your perspective on that a little bit.
Another big factor is that the crime has been reduced in many different states, especially here in California, where what was a felony may be a misdemeanor now, and what used to be a misdemeanor may be an infraction now. So there's very little in the way of not. There's very little to stop the person from committing the crime as far as the legal standards.
That's kind of interesting. So these laws have in actuality contributed to more crime just because of the severity of punishment has been reduced. So, hey, less risk, less problems. Let's just go out and do this. Gee, that makes total sense. Tell us a little bit, please, about the types of crimes generally that you guys kind of lay out that businesses are going to face.
We've basically placed it into two different buckets to make it simple. Two different types of crimes that business people will face will be property crimes and then personal crimes or violent crimes. So, property crimes will often be theft, vandalism, things of that nature. And then personal crimes or violent crimes will be aspects such as assault, battery, workplace violence. Violence is also on a rise.
So back to the property crime, and then that's going to actually be our leaderboard on episode 2 coming up. But in all the types of crime, I noticed that we see in the media all the time that there's a construction site theft or site services thefts of any company that's out in the field or out in the general public where the bad guys, so to speak, have got access. So we understand too that there's been a real upsurge because of inflation and the cost of goods and services, that parts, materials for components for construction that may be left on a site, as an example, are just being stolen and sold for pennies on the dollars because it's got that high value because of the inflation prices. Are you seeing that as well?
Yes, absolutely. So we're seeing a lot more theft in pretty much every space, construction being one of those. A lot of vehicle theft, parts and materials theft, so lumber, metals, you name it, just about anything and everything. Cadillac converters are being stolen a lot more in the vehicles. So it's all on a rise, all theft.
So on that other bucket that you were talking about on the personal side, you hit upon one that obviously is in the newspapers, unfortunately, all too often, and that's
Mhm.
all around the world of workplace violence. As I started to produce this series and working with you, you gave me a lot better understanding about it. Just for our audience, as a teaser, a little bit. Talk about your experience in workplace violence and tell us a little bit about. There's obviously different types of workplace violence in terms of those that have a business where people come in or the workplace violence that takes place between employees.
Yeah, there's many different ways in which workplace violence is conducted. It's something that's definitely on most business owners' mind. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with their business, but it bleeds over into their business. It could be a personal dispute with a loved one, and the place that they can find them is at work. So they go ahead and take it out there. Or it could be because of bullying or harassment in the workplace. So they decide to take it out on their coworkers. There's many different reasons that people commit workplace violence, but it is on a rise. We provide many services to mitigate these risks, and something that we do on a consistent basis. We will discuss more of it in the upcoming podcast, but for the sake of time, we don't have much more to give on this.
Let me ask you one kind of final question, just as a general topic. And like I say, we're going to dive into this in each of the follow on episodes as we go into the details that'll be important to each of the businesses that are listening to this. That's tell us just from a general perspective to our listeners or to our audience, what are briefly some of the ways businesses can help prevent crime?
Yeah, so on a high level, the two different ways is, first, be aware of the crimes. So watch the news, and ask your neighboring properties, ask your industry leaders, ask different business owners what they're facing, and get to understand what kinds of crimes are being or occurring in your industry, and what's prevalent. So just be aware of it. And then the next one is to be a harder target. We'll discuss more about target hardening in the upcoming episodes. So if you don't understand what it is, that's okay. We'll definitely be talking about target hardening in the future.
Super. So, one other thing is, again, as we were putting the production of this together, something that's unique at Guardian Protection Force is a platform that you've developed called Crime Questions. Give
Mhm.
our audience a little bit of an understanding of what Crime Questions is, how they can access it, and how it might help.
In putting this podcast together, we wanted to make sure to provide a service to people that everybody listening is going to get something out of it. You don't have to pay us a dime, and you can submit any question you may have surrounding crime through any social media platform. We're on all of them. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Follow us on any social media platform, and direct message us whatever question you may have about crime or risk for your business. And we'll be answering those and talking about those aspects in the upcoming podcast.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Garrett. We appreciate your time and effort on this first one. We're going to look forward to working with you and looking forward to helping our audience better understand business crime. So until we meet again in episode 2, thank you again, and to our audience, look forward to our upcoming episodes because we're going to make you smarter about business crime.
Thank you very much. Yeah, looking forward to mitigating those risks with you.